Feeling stuck? Searching for clarity? Welcome to Life in HD with me, Natalia, a podcast about clarity, self-discovery, and embracing the unique way your brain works. I'm a life coach who was late diagnosed with ADHD. Ever since, I've been on a mission to help others break free from unrealistic expectations and build a life that truly fits them. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, stuck, or like you just don't fit the mold, this is a space for you. Whether you're navigating ADHD, anxiety, or just trying to break free from outdated expectations, with real conversations and practical strategies, I will help you reframe your mindset and build a life that works for you. Let's redefine success, challenge the stigma, and live a life in high definition. Ready? Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Pat, and I get to share this time with an amazing woman. I want you to know that this show is Life in HD with Natalia. And Natalia Peña is joining me here today because this is more than a passion. This is a purpose, and this is a fulfillment of how to support and help so many others in this world. Today's episode is so important. We got to get right to it. Routine, rituals, real life, and how to build balance with a neurodivergent brain. I cannot wait to hear this, Natalia, right?
Yes, it's a good one. This was one of the hardest episodes for me to write down because it is something that I am struggling with. And I think many people are going to relate to it, that when you hear the word routine, I don't know you, but I feel very like, oh, no. So I'm trying to figure out how to change my mindset in order to start liking routines. So this is about almost how to bypass the struggle of creating routines or developing habits, and then eventually creating a routine that works for every person.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. And it is really important for us to do that, especially if you're you and you're me or you're anybody else. And I know I have the ability to do it because I do it with the sport I play. So where do we start with this? Where's the beginning?
So first we need to understand why routines are important. So one of the reasons routines are important is because if we have systems into place that are almost automatic, then that almost takes away our decision making, which most of us have decision fatigue, and that's why we get overwhelmed and we end up not following any of the routines. And it also creates this emotional safety. If you know what to expect, if you know what's happening, if you know what's coming up, well, that will give you a sense of peace. And instead of living on an anxious mood, relying on procrastination for you to get something done, creating a routine would alleviate that part. And it also would help us feel anchored and give us the freedom to truly let our brain roam free and be as creative as it can. Because now you're not worrying so much about when am I going to eat? When is the doctor's appointment? What's coming next? So once those things are sort of automatic, then now you can actually have the freedom to be your creative self. So that's why they're so important.
Well, I totally get it because today is a perfect example for me. There's something I've got to do immediately after this. I didn't put it in a calendar. Now I've got to make people change the appointments I have today. And you know, the excuse if I'm too busy just isn't going to work anymore. So routines are extremely important, even when you have a team of people that help you with it.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things that we need to reduce, especially with a neurodivergent brain, is the sense of shame, because that's what ends up happening, right? Now you feel, I messed up not putting it on my calendar, and now I have to apologize, and now they're going to think that I am not organized, and it's a slippery slope into all this shame that we can build up in our brain, and we're trying to get rid of that because there's nothing the issue here was lack of proper planning. So let's talk about what are the difference between habits and rituals, because we're going to talk about both. So habits are automatic actions that are tied to triggers. For example, a pang of hunger would trigger my idea of I need to eat, right? You wake up in the morning and you feel hunger. The habit is to eat something. Or after eating breakfast, my trigger is I need to brush my teeth, right? So a habit is something that you do automatically and that is triggered by an action that you make. And then obviously we could create good habits and bad habits. A bad habit could be I wake up and the first thing I want is to look at my phone and scroll until it's very late and now I have to rush to get out of the house. And on the contrary, a ritual is something that is intentional, is tied to your emotions, is often tied with your senses. So for example, before meditating, a ritual people do is lighting up a candle or putting something that smells good, or before a workout, putting a song that gets you in the mood, or before cooking, pouring a glass of wine. It's something that is attached to a feeling of like, okay, I'm lighting up my candle. My brain now knows I'm about to meditate. Yeah. So when we use rituals, that is things that we impose on ourselves, that gives us a boost, those could help us develop into the triggers we need to develop a habit. So I want to talk about why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to?
Yeah, it's important to talk about it though.
Yes.
And you know, there are some times that you're going to help us with this today. Even for the people that don't like structure, you're going to give us a format and you're going to give us tips that could help. Now, when it comes to rituals, I don't need any help with that. I love doing it, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, so that's the beauty about a ritual, is that it's something that we want to do, that is making us feel it. They call it putting us in a vibration. It's almost like you want a state of mind. You want to feel happy or maybe accomplished, or all the sort of emotions that you would want to feed your life with. Those are the rituals that we create. Now, someone was asking me, why is it so hard? Like, why did my parents that were also neurodivergent didn't struggle with this as much? Like, is it something that is happening now? And this is one of my favorite conversations because I am a 90s kid. So I was a teenager during the 90s. And so if you were born before, in the 1900s, like my kids said, you were born in the 1900s, life was very much ritualistic. There were a lot of things that were imposed on us that develop habits and structure. So for example, TV shows aired at a specific time. And so we all prepared for the 8 o'clock show. So you knew everything had to be done before the 8 o'clock telenovela, if you were a Latina.
Yeah.
And the news were at 6, and you knew when TV shows that you wanted to watch were on, and that almost created a ritual around it. So you were timing your life around it. You planned dinner, downtime, everything around this TV show. There were commercial breaks. And so what did that do? It allowed us to create mini tasks in chunks of time. So the moment the commercial came on, that was when you went to the bathroom. Parents would be like, go brush your teeth. Or you knew that if you needed a snack or if you wanted to finish something up, you had this like 2-3 minutes. So there were exterior factors that were actually conditioning us to create a habit around something that we couldn't control.
Yeah. And a structure though, too, right?
Right.
I mean, it was a structure.
The stores closed on the weekend. So you planned your weeks accordingly because you knew that there was nothing open in the weekend, or they closed at a certain time. And so all of those exterior structures that were imposed in the past forced us to create rituals and habits. And that's why it was probably easier for neurodivergent adults in the 80s to follow through in what they had to do.
Yeah.
Now we have the era of on-demand. TV is available anytime. Our computers, you don't even need to go to the store. It doesn't matter the date. You could even buy on a Christmas night something on Amazon. There is no structure, and this freedom, what is creating is a lack of structure. And that's why it's becoming, because now you have to self-regulate. You need to impose the rules. You need to create those exterior structures for you to create habits around it. So did you feel that that's something that's happened to you, especially like you remember the 80s and the 90s?
Oh, okay, I'm not even going to date myself. But, the other thing that I noticed, to your point, is I noticed how I am manipulating things around commercials. But I will tell you, back in the day, like commercials were like a couple minutes. Now there's a formula for commercials. And by the way, I figured it out. And at the beginning of a show, like an hour show, it's like a teeny little commercial break, 90 seconds. But as the show goes on, do you know how long the commercial break is? Towards the end of a show, or do you know how long? 9 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, to a really popular show, like they don't want you, 9 minutes. I was sitting there the other night and I'm like, I'm going to go to the garage. I'm going to finish putting this together. Right?
Yes, you could do a lot of things in 9 minutes, especially you. You could probably have built a whole show in 9 minutes. That's it's wild. To me, it is always wild because I've had to teach my children to sort of self-regulate. And you start a show, you finish a show. Let's do things before we watch at this time. And it's very difficult for them because they're like, you could just start at any time. And you're like, no, we're going to start it after supper at 8. I'm trying to bring back that because it's developing some sort of like ritual, a tradition, something that you do, and now they're expecting it, and that's how you start developing some of the habits. So now let's talk about practical tips now to build that manufactured structure around us so that we could have a good routine. So there's visual cues, auditory cues, environmentally cues, and social cues. So let's talk about visual cues. So visual cues, people use Post-its. They put them in different places, or color code their schedules or their calendars. We love a color code system. Or you just put things in a plain sight, right? So if I see my water bottle, I will be more likely to drink water than me putting an alarm saying drink water. Okay, I'll read it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I have to drink water. It's a thought that came and went and I forgot to drink water. But if I see my water bottle, and I'll put it in inconvenient places sometimes on purpose so that I'm going up the stairs and I'm like, why is this water bottle here? I'm like, oh, my past self wanted me to hydrate before going up the stairs. Auditory cues. Some people do very well with alarms. So listening to a very annoying sound, or a playlist, a song. You know, if a song lasts 2 minutes, that becomes your ad almost. You know that if you're going to work out, you could say, after this song, I'm going to start doing something. So creating playlists to get you also in the mood. The auditory things is telling someone to call you. Can you like ring me at this time so that I'm reminded that I have to do something? Environmental cues, that would be you creating spaces that are designed for your rituals. So have a determined place for you to work. So that's the only place where you work. Most neurodivergent, we work whatever the spark strikes. And so sometimes we don't have a very structured place. And that's okay.
It's essential, though. I mean, what you're talking about right there, especially for entrepreneurs like you and me, if we don't do that, then we do not have a way to organize our work. So can you imagine you not having a workspace like right there? And you know what I really love about this idea is we're not being rigid. So what I heard you say, you can choose, you can find it. But what you're pointing out, without it, now imagine what happens if you don't have that, right?
Exactly, exactly. And so the goal isn't to be perfect.
Mm.
The goal is that you're creating a support system for yourself. So sometimes you're going to try something, it doesn't work. Okay, let's try something else,
Ah,
instead of feeling like we failed at life, like, oh, I can't do it. No, that's just you haven't found the right support. So what you need to find is one anchor. So the anchor has to be this uh sort of visual cue or auditory cue, whatever cue is that is going to really help you like trigger the alarm. And
mhm.
that's going to be and another thing that you need to create is a ritual. So when you have an anchor, a visual a cue or an auditory cue, and you pair it with a ritual that you're doing, that's going to start creating a routine in your life. And that's the win we are trying to
Yeah.
achieve.
Mhm.
Now, because we're going to fail, and our tendencies are to feel shame and to beat ourselves up because we can't do it or because it's very difficult. One of the rituals that I'm trying to incorporate in my life is to practice self-love and
Mhm.
gratitude. So
Mhm.
it's almost like you're feeding your brain little tidbits of love that you might think you don't deserve, or sometimes it feels weird to
Yeah.
practice self-love. But what you're doing is truly, you're like embracing your brain, giving it a hug and a kiss. And that's all sometimes it needs for you to be motivated to continue. So I read some of the things that people kind of say to themselves. So for example, you could do while you brush your teeth. Anytime you brush your teeth, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I survived today, or I woke up today, you know?
I keep it real simple. If that happens, I say, I've got this. That is my go-to. That is so simple for me. I don't care what it is, right? The weed whacker doesn't work. I've got this
Ah,
because I need to have something simple for my brain. Otherwise, I'm going to fill a story in. And that
yeah.
story is not going to be the truth, is it?
And that exactly. And the stories that we're telling ourselves, we need, if the story is being negative, you need to stop it and start changing to the real fact. So when you build in kindness into your routines, your brain starts associating a structure with safety. Many of us equate a structure or routine with being rigid or punishment because that's how parenting and society was, right? You go clean your room, you go do this, you need to brush your teeth. But if you change the mindset to this is something that I'm doing to make myself feel better, put in makeup in the morning, I'm doing it because I want to feel pretty. And oh, look, I can put makeup in the morning, I can brush my teeth, I have water, I have potable water. Practicing gratitude allows your brain to start feel do what you're doing as something that wants to do more and repeat it and repeat it.
Yeah.
So routines don't need to be rigid, right? You could have several routines. I have about 4 routines. I have my ideal routine, which is the perfect routine, right? Like you wake up, you do this, you do that. I have it written down. I never do my ideal routine, but it's a model that I have. I have another routine that is 2 things. I just need to get 2 things of my routine done, and that's a win. And sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 or 5. So I start being less hard on myself. Then I have a
Yeah.
routine when I got my period, because believe it or not, hormones play into how you feel. And so you could create a ritual and a routine and follow it. And then you get your period and you're a whole different person. Or you didn't sleep well at night. I create another routine. I create a routine when my children get sick, because then they kind of destroyed whatever system I created. If they're home, my system is not going to work. So I had to create a routine that works around them. So you need to understand that your worth isn't measured by your productivity.
Right.
It needs to be built on what feels good and not what looks perfect. And it needs to make sense to you. So we talked about all of the tools that you need to build. And now this is just a matter of how do you incorporate them in your life? And so creating rituals that allow you to develop those routines is the key to do.
And I want to make one comment. One other thing I want to say is for those of you that are listening that are neurodivergent or you know people, there is an acute ability to pivot. So even though we're talking about things that have to be done, I want to just emphasize that while this may be a challenge, there are so many other assets. There's so many different ways that you can pivot, and that ability to pivot and change, you know what I mean? Change on a dime. That ability to do that sometimes, it just goes beyond any dollar amount or any price we can put on it.
Exactly.
And that's why you and I can have this conversation today, and we can plan something and put it into place and change.
That's it. And just before we end, I want to say how can we make those external cues ADHD friendly or neurodivergent friendly? So there's 4 things that I want you to think about when you're looking for your cues. Keep them visible. You need to see them. So if it's a post-it or there's an alarm, or you need to see it. You cannot think about it and that's it. You need to actually make it, right? So the water bottle, a timer, a post-it, you need to see it. The other thing is make it playful. If you use humor and you color code it, and you make it your own, you put it in a silly way, that it starts to feel less a routine and more as a game that you're making for your own life. If you look at your life as a video game, it's like you're going through the levels in order to pass today's challenge, you know? So level 1 is let's wake up and then let's go have breakfast and clean the kitchen. The other thing is make them gentle. No shame, no guilt. The idea is to support yourself and instigate your curiosity into finding out who you are. And then what do you do if they don't work? Chuck them and try something else. There is no rule that says you have to use the timer and you need to make it work. Nope. If that sound is not working for you, then look into a vibrating watch or just try anything. There is nothing wrong with trying. And that if nothing is working for you, go online and find there's someone that has figured something out that might work for you. Because it's not that you're broken, it's just that you haven't figured out how to do this. And then you rotate them, because you will get tired of your routines and you will get bored of your rituals. So it is important that they're working and they're useful, and then you start feeling like it's declining. Well, maybe it's time to change and create a new routine or make it a new ritual. And there's nothing wrong with changing it. Don't force yourself to be something that you are not. If you want novelty, then make it new. And that's going to help you just achieve your dreams and get to a place where you're doing the thing, you know?
Yeah. And I want to get back to what you said, because I don't think we could say it enough. What we're doing is providing solutions. This is what you're doing. But you also say, we're not broken. We're not defective. So bring this full circle now. The tools, the tips, what you're sharing is to make life flow. But we're not fixing, right?
That's it. We're just trying to see life in a high definition, because right now it's blurry. Right now you're seeing your life through a blurry, opaque filter. And so we need to change we need to change it so that you
Yeah.
can start enjoying what you're looking at, what you're living, what you're experiencing. So like I said, it is something that is hard for me to do. I have 3 children, I have a dog, a husband, and sometimes I create beautiful structures and routines and nobody follows them. And then it's like, and so I have to keep reshaping and retrying. But now, instead of feeling bad because I didn't follow through, I try to understand myself and say, okay, Natalia, this is not working. What should work for us? And you start with a little thing. You start with a little thing. It might be just the one that I told you about, brushing your teeth and telling yourself a message. And then if you don't want to say it out loud because it's weird, write it down in a Post-it and put it in the mirror. You've got this. or if you want to go out or move more, don't aim for the gym membership and being in a triathlon. Start small. Start with, you know what? When I wake up, I'm going to shake around in my bed for 2 minutes. That's all the movement that you might need that day. And that's okay. That's how you start. You start little. And just remember that everything that you do that is positive, or it gives you a boost of self-love, is shaping your brain into doing it more. And that's almost like the fuel that you need to make your brain get started.
Yeah.
Get into the thing. Yeah.
Now, look, we're only touching upon a few things here in the show, but you are available to help people. So what is the best way for people to find out more about you?
Yes, they can reach me on social media. I have Natalia Life in HD on Instagram, or they can just go on my website at natalialifecoach.com. And then they can send me a message there, or they can follow on my socials. And yeah, if they need any help just trying to figure out routines and schedules, we can do that.
Yeah. And you know what I love about what you're doing? And let's just end with this. The work that you do is so beautiful because you've been through it. But the other part of it is that this is not a one size fits all. And part of what happens in society, that's what people are getting. This is the way you do it. No, this may be the way you do it. But if Natalia, would they work with you, you're going to help them find a solution that works for that person.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Great show, right? Rituals work, schedules work, but also take a tip from Natalia. Do some of the things she said. I have been called the queen of Post-it notes. Don't know why, but look at our calendar for our shows and our producers. They will tell you it is quite colorful. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for spending time with me on Life in HD. I'm Natalia. Tune in every third Monday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. If today's episode resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear this at natalialifecoach.com. Remember, clarity, growth, and success look different for everyone. Keep embracing who you are, and I'll see you next time.